Daniel Penny, the man who put Jordan Neely in a deadly chokehold on a New York City subway, arrived with his attorney at a Manhattan police precinct to turn himself in on Friday. He's expected in court later today.
He did so voluntarily and with the sort of dignity and integrity that is characteristic of his history of service to this grateful nation.
The 24-year-old Marine being charged with manslaughter in the second degree with a maximum penalty of 15 years, according to prosecutors.
It was a Monday afternoon in Manhattan. The first day of May, 2023. The F train was running uptown through the Lower East Side, packed with the usual mix of New Yorkers, commuters, students, tourists, people going somewhere and people going nowhere in particular. At the 2nd Avenue stop, a man boarded the car. His name was Jordan Neely. He was 30 years old. He was homeless. He was mentally ill. He had been diagnosed with schizophrenia as a teenager, after losing his mother in one of the most devastating ways imaginable. Her boyfriend had murdered her and stuffed her body in a suitcase. Hospitalized for depression at 14, Neely later struggled with schizophrenia that at times made him hallucinate and become paranoid. Micah Miller. He had also, for years, been one of the most beloved characters in the New York City subway system.
Well, I live in the East Village in Manhattan, so I take the subway multiple times a day. In this instance, I was coming from school. I got out of class around 2:15, and I took I was at J Street Metro Tech, took the Uptown F train. At 2nd Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on. He appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the 3 main threats that he repeated over and over was, "I'm gonna kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die." You know, this was a scary situation, and Mr. Neely came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me, so it was. And there's a common misconception that Marines don't get scared. We're actually taught one of our core values is courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but how you handle fear. And you know, I was scared for myself, but I looked around. I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still. Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Neely for 15 minutes. This is not true. I mean, between stops is only a couple minutes. So the whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes. Some people say I was trying to choke him to death, which is also not true. I was trying to restrain him. You can see in the video, there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he's breathing. I'm trying to restrain him from him being able to carry out the threats. And then some people say that this was about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers, a lot of whom were people of color. The man who helped restrain Mr. Neely was a person of color. And then a few days after the incident, I read in the papers that a woman of color came out and called me a hero. I don't believe that I'm a hero, but she was one of those people that I was trying to protect. We were all scared. Mr. Neely was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. The reason why there was no video at the start of the altercation was because people were too afraid getting away from him, and the videos didn't start until they saw that situation was under control. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely. I used this hold to restrain him, and I did this by leaving my hand on top of his head to control his body. You can see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he was still breathing. And I'm calibrating my grip based on the force that he's exerting. And I was trying to keep him on the ground until the police came. I was praying that the police would come and take this situation over. I didn't want to be put in that situation, but I couldn't just sit still and let him carry out these threats.
A Michael Jackson impersonator who moonwalked on platforms and in cars, who made people smile on their commutes, who was recognized and appreciated by strangers all over the city. That version of Jordan Neely, the one who danced, who made people laugh, who lit up underground tunnels with the sound of Billie Jean, had been disappearing for years. In its place was something else. A man in crisis, cycling through hospitalizations and shelters and the streets, carrying an active arrest warrant, struggling with a synthetic cannabinoid called K2 that his own medical records noted he knew made his thinking and behavior worse. Neely had 42 prior arrests, including for assault. Reader's Digest: in the year before his death, there had been more than 20 subway shove incidents across the New York system. Just days before May 1st, a strap hanger had been stabbed with an ice pick on a J train. When Neely boarded that F train at 2nd Avenue, he was not moonwalking. Witnesses would later testify he was screaming. Yelling that he was hungry, that he was thirsty, that he didn't care about his life or anyone else's. That he was ready to go to jail. That someone was going to die that day.
I just want to say, I miss my son. It hurts.
When you have someone repeatedly going through that system, that's a signature of failure.
One witness said Neely had specifically threatened a woman who was protecting her son in a stroller, saying, "I will kill." Elamag passengers moved away. Some pressed themselves against the walls of the car. Several described being more frightened than they had ever been on the subway. Among the passengers was Daniel Penny. He was 24 years old. He had grown up in Suffolk County, Long Island. He had served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps as an infantry squad leader, attaining the rank of sergeant. His military combat training included how to render a person unconscious in a non-lethal manner with the chokehold he used on Neely. Reader's Digest: he had been honorably discharged and was now studying architecture and engineering at New York City College of Technology. He was, by every account, a quiet, serious young man. Not someone who looked for trouble, not someone who had a history of violence. When Neely started screaming, Penny watched. He waited. And then, when Neely's behavior escalated to the point where Penny believed passengers were in immediate danger, he made a decision. After the train had left the station, Penny approached Neely from behind to apply a chokehold, and maintained it in a sitting position until Neely went limp a few minutes after the train had reached the next stop. Reader's Digest. 2 other passengers helped Penny hold Neely down. One of them pressed Neely's legs to the floor. Another helped keep him still. The bystanders who did not intervene physically recorded everything on their phones. The video would be watched tens of millions of times within 48 hours. Prosecutors allege that Penny held Neely for at least 51 seconds after his body went limp. Netflix: when the train doors opened at the next station, Penny continued to hold on.
What does this verdict represent to you?
America. That's exactly what it meant, what it represents. It personifies ugliness. It personifies what has been already occurring in the United States of America.
Daniel? Yep. I'm Detective McCarthy. I'm Detective McDean. I actually located This is where you're at right now.
Cool.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Okay. Very good. Very good. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
You served in the Marine Corps now?
I did, yes.
I served in the Marine Corps.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Got my little desk before the sun attack.
There you go. Nice, man.
What you doing? What was your MOS in the military?
I was in 0351.
I was an 0331.
Oh, cool. Michigan. Yeah, weapons platoon.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
I was not military, so I don't know what that stuff is.
It's like another language.
3rd Battalion, 6th Marines.
Okay, there you go. 36.
96 to 2000.
Nice, man.
2 med floats. Did my thing, and then I ended up here. Now I got close to 22 years here now, man.
Good pension coming up.
Yeah, man.
I grew up in Queens as well.
Nice.
Nice. That's good, Daniel. Anyway, listen, Daniel. So we want to talk to you about what happened today.
Sure.
You know, thank you for sticking around.
Yeah.
You know, and being cooperative.
Absolutely.
And hoorah, serving in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we speak to you about today, we have to read you your rights.
Sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to read you your rights. After each question, I'm going to say, do you understand? Say yes or no in a loud, clear voice. You got to say yes or no. You can't just like nod your head. I got to hear it, okay?
Okay.
You have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. Do you understand?
I understand.
Anything you do say may be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand?
I understand.
You have the right to consult an attorney before speaking to the police and to have an attorney present during any questioning now or in the future. Do you understand?
I understand.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you without cost. Do you understand?
I understand.
He would later tell detectives he wasn't sure the doors were open, and that Neely had been periodically squirming. Penny told detectives, "I wasn't trying to injure him. I'm just trying to keep him from hurting anyone else. He's threatening people." That's what we learn in the Marine Corps. Amazon. First responders unsuccessfully attempted to revive Neely, who was declared dead after being transported to a hospital. Reader's Digest. 2 days later, the medical examiner's office ruled that Neely's death was a homicide by compression of the neck. Reader's Digest. The finding was unequivocal. The chokehold had killed Jordan Neely. Penny went voluntarily to a police precinct that afternoon and submitted to questioning. He was read his Miranda rights. He told detectives everything. The threats, the screaming, his decision to intervene, what he had been thinking during the 6 minutes he held Neely on the floor of that subway car. He was released without charge. Then the video spread. And America caught fire. Within days, there were protests outside the courthouse and in the streets. Neely's father, Andre Zachary, said, "My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. It really, really hurts." Forensics College's civil rights leaders called it a lynching. Al Sharpton spoke at Neely's funeral. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said Neely had been murdered. Eric Garner's mother, whose son had died after being placed in a police chokehold nearly a decade earlier, stood outside the courthouse and said, "No one deserves to be choked." On the other side, Republican politicians from across the country praised Daniel Penny as a hero.
If you do not have an attorney available, you have the right to remain silent until you've had an opportunity to consult with one. Do you understand?
I understand.
Now that I've advised you of your rights, are you willing to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay. So, kind of run with me and Detective Medina, the course of your day, where you're coming from, where you're going, and then what led up to, the incident on the train.
Absolutely. So I have class down in Brooklyn. I take the F down to J Street Metro Tech. My class is at 12. So once the class finished up, I was going straight to the gym. I go to the gym in Lifetime on 23rd Street. So I get off, I take the F straight from school to the gym. Was on there. I forget what stop it was at, but some guy came in. He's like, whipped his jacket off, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill everybody. I can go to prison forever. I don't care. I don't do this." At that point, I looked to the person next to me like, "Hey, just hang on to this phone for me." I had my headphones in, took it off, and just kind of like grabbed him from behind because he came in just to because he was acting like a lunatic, like a crazy person. So, and he was rolling around on the floor, and at that point the train stopped. I was like, "Someone call the cops," and he's still like rolling around, still going crazy. Had 2 other guys kind of help me, just kind of keep him from going nuts, and yeah, that's when you guys came.
Okay.
Did he seem like he was on something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Intoxicated, high?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that K2 that they're smoking, pushing people in front, like these people are going crazy. So
he seemed off his lid, basically.
A little bit, yeah.
Now explain the interaction you had with him.
So I came up, he had his back turned to me, and I just kind of got him in a hold, got him to the ground. He's still like squirming around and still, going crazy. And I turned to the guy, I'm like, "Hey, call the cops," because the train arrived in Broadway.
Yeah.
And then waited for you guys.
Okay. Dan, you said Danny, right?
Yes, correct.
Do you mind showing me?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so he was standing behind me, and I kind of came like this.
Okay. Did you apply pressure, Daniel?
No, I wasn't. I just wanted to keep him from getting to people.
Did you put your hooks in?
Wrap my legs.
Did you learn the jiu-jitsu from the Marine Corps?
I did, yes.
You learned how to grapple in the Marine Corps. What belt level are you made it to?
Green.
Green belt?
Yeah.
Good. All right.
It was all right. I was a little bit. I should have went higher.
Should have applied yourself more, huh?
Yeah. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, right?
So he says, if I don't get this, I'm going to kill everyone. Something
Go to jail forever. Yeah. I'm willing to.
Is it at that point that's when you get up and decide to put him in the hold? Because it looks like a sleeper hold to me, like
right,
something similar to like.
I'm not trying to kill the guy.
Right.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Congressman Matt Gaetz promoted a fundraiser for his legal fund, which ultimately raised nearly $3 million. The cold case's conservative commentators called him a good Samaritan. They pointed to Neely's criminal record, his active warrant, the synthetic drugs in his system, the testimony of passengers who said they had been genuinely terrified. A week after the medical examiner's ruling, Penny was charged with second-degree manslaughter and released on bond. He was formally indicted by a grand jury, with a lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide added. Reader's Digest: he faced up to 15 years in prison. He pleaded not guilty. And he waited 17 months for his trial. The trial began in late October 2024, in a Manhattan courtroom that had become, before a single witness was called, a symbol of something far larger than one incident on one subway car. Nearly all prospective jurors reported having prior knowledge of the incident during jury selection. Reader's Digest: the jury that was eventually seated included 7 women and 5 men, at least 7 white, 1 Hispanic, 1 Filipino, 1 black, and 1 of Middle Eastern descent. The prosecution's argument was carefully framed. Lead prosecutor Daphne Yoren acknowledged in her opening statement that Penny had acted to protect others, and that his intention had been laudable.
I'm just trying to de-escalate the situation, right?
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Daniel, not a speak hold, but would you say what you put him in, because I do take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu myself, I've been taking it for many years, would you say that was considered a rear naked choke?
I mean, I don't train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I'm not.
But in the Marine Corps, is that considered a rear naked choke?
I don't know what you would call that, no. I'm not sure.
Because I noticed that you put it around my neck and then you closed from behind.
I would have had it on the back of his head. I didn't press forward.
You didn't press forward.
I noticed when you were doing it to him too, you went to go put your legs around him.
I did. I held my legs because if you're flopping around and stuff, you can easily get out of that if you don't lock it.
You did that to control him in place.
That's correct.
Explain to me what made you want to get involved? What made you?
Well, I mean, he's threatening people, and I'm not confrontational. I'm not a confrontational guy. In the Marine Corps, I felt the need to step in.
Yeah.
There's women, children on the train. I'm sure there's ladies there that will vouch for me, and
he felt like he was threatening other people. You felt like
oh, he was absolutely.
Did you feel like someone's life was in danger?
100%.
Did anybody else hold him down?
Yeah, there was 2 other guys that were helping. As soon as those guys came in and were holding his arms, then I kind of let up.
You let him go?
That's correct.
And when you let him go, what happened? What do you remember? Was he still moving? Was he still saying anything?
Yeah, he was moving a bit, and I was worried that he would go again, so I was telling those guys, hey, make sure you keep hanging on to him.
So the 3 of you holding him down, or just the 2 other gentlemen?
Just the 2 other guys were hanging on to him.
And how long did they hold him down? They were holding him down by the arms?
Yeah, by the arms.
How long were they holding him down before the cops got there?
Like I said, man, it's you're exerting energy. And
The adrenaline is going, right?
Right.
It's like fight or flight, everything's going,
That's correct.
You lose track of time.
Yep.
I understand. At any given time, did you reapply any kind of holds on him once you let him go, or
No,
that was it?
No, that was it.
And what do you remember from there? Explain to me now.
Just the cops came and that was it. I got him.
Okay. When the cops came, what was he doing?
He was just on the ground.
Was he saying anything? Was he? No.
I'm trying to all these people are filming and shit and they're I don't know.
Okay. Anything else you remember, Daniel, from this interaction? Anything else that was said? Anybody else say anything to you?
I mean, everyone on the train was. I asked a few people hey, stick around when the cops come, just so, and they were like, yeah, well. And the people were thanking me and stuff because I wasn't I'm not trying to. Like I said, I'm not a confrontational guy, and I'm not out here trying to attack people. It's not me, not how I was trained.
Yeah.
I just felt the need that this guy was saying that he's going to kill people, that he was prepared to go to jail for life. I hear that, and I'm like.
But he was making enough of a scene that you noticed him, and then you probably would have noticed if he put his hands on someone.
But I didn't.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And then once he starts doing that, that's when you try to subdue him.
Yes, I wasn't trying to injure him.
Right.
I'm just trying to keep him from hurting anybody else. He's threatening people. That's what we learned in the Marine Corps. That's what you guys learn as police officers. It's the same thing if you're off duty. You're gonna intervene in a situation where it's
without obvious intent to kill. But she argued that the chokehold had become unnecessarily reckless and criminal the moment Penny maintained it after Neely went limp. She argued Penny knew his actions could kill Neely but continued to hold him for way too long and didn't recognize his humanity. Netflix. The defense's argument was simpler and blunter. Defense attorney Thomas Kenneth called Neely a seething, raging psychotic who had terrified passengers and specifically threatened a woman with a child. He said Penny had acted out of selfless courage. And he argued that the chokehold had not killed Neely, that Neely's sickle cell trait and the K2 synthetic cannabinoid in his system were the actual cause of death. The medical examiner, Dr. Cynthia Harris, testified firmly that the chokehold had killed Neely. She said video evidence of Neely's face turning purple, with bulging veins, indicated restricted blood flow, and that the duration of the chokehold would have killed anyone by asphyxia. Reader's Digest under fierce cross-examination, she was equally firm. No toxicological result imaginable was going to change my opinion. IMDb. The defense countered with its own expert. A Marine Corps combat instructor, who had actually trained Penny, testified that the veteran had misused the chokehold technique he had been taught. That detail cut both ways. It undermined the prosecution's suggestion that Penny had applied a kill move deliberately, but it also suggested he had used a technique outside its intended parameters. The jury deliberated for more than 24 hours across 5 days. They asked to see the bystander videos again. They asked for the judge's instructions on justification for physical force.
Let us know that our lives have value. Jordan Neely was choked to death by someone who didn't care people was telling him to stop. Last week, the jury they couldn't decide on the top charge, but they come back this week and they give up on us. The family's hurt. I promised this family that we would get justice. We're still going to do that. We're going to move forward with our suit. The district attorney did a good job, but the jury in this case let us down. So now here's what we have. We have a call to action, because you have to do something with this anger and with this rage. Our call to action is to take care of each other. We can't rely on outside people. If we see someone asking for food, we have to take the responsibility to give it to them. If we see someone cold, to give them a coat. If we see someone going through something, to ask them if they're okay. That's how we help each other, because we can't rely on the system to do it for us. And clearly, if we get to this point, it's too late. We have to be there for each other, and that's our call to action. Everybody that's pissed off at this verdict, I challenge you to go outside today and help one person. That's my challenge. If you're angry, if you're hurt, go help one person. That's how we beat the system. That's how we turn this around, by being there for each other.
I just want to say, I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged. Come on, people. Let's do something about this.
Let's do something about it. Too often, we have Eric Garner's mother here. There's too often this is happening, where we're left alone in this society. We got to stop that. We have to change how we impact each other. Jordan came on that subway car. The first thing he asked for was food, and he was killed. And the person who killed him was not held responsible. We cannot allow this to keep happening.
Oh. Looks like the police are attacking protesters.
Are they?
Good morning, everyone. Here we stand once again in front of this unjust system. I stood here 10 years ago because they did not give justice to my son with the chokehold. I fought hard to get the anti-chokehold bill passed, which did pass. But it shouldn't only be for police officers, it should be for civilians also. No one deserves to be choked to death. No one. And you know, we're in that courtroom and people are cheering for the verdict. They made the loudest noise, the judge did nothing. But when his father spoke out, they put him out the courtroom. Is that justice? Or what? We can't allow this to keep going on. We have to fight this system. That's what I had to do. I had to fight to get the little justice that I got. I got one police officer fired. There's more that need to be fired. But I tell this family, do not give up. Because that's what they want you to do. They want to discourage you. Just like they tried to discourage me. But 10 years later, I'm still fighting. And I'm not only fighting for myself, I'm fighting for families like yourself. That's why I have to come out when this injustice is done. If this had been the other way, if your family had murdered this so-called innocent guy now, it would have been a different story. He would have been in jail or would have never came out. But they don't do the same to us. It's two justice systems.
You know that.
And we have to stop this. And the only way that we can stop it is to stand together. Those of us who are against what happened, we have to speak up. We can't treat this just like another news story, not another press conference. We have to speak out, speak up, and stand up. So I just say today, we did not get justice once again. And I am saddened. I am truly saddened by the situation because it keeps on happening and no one is standing accountable for their actions.
They asked for definitions of recklessness and negligence. They sent repeated notes saying they were deadlocked on the manslaughter charge. After repeatedly signaling they could not reach a unanimous verdict, the judge accepted the prosecution's request to dismiss the manslaughter charge. Reader's Digest: the jury would consider only the lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide, carrying a maximum of 4 years in prison. They deliberated for approximately 1 more hour. On December 9, 2024, Daniel Penny was acquitted of criminally negligent homicide. The cold cases. Inside the courtroom, some observers applauded. Others sobbed and yelled. Neely's father, Andre Zachary, stood up, began swearing, and was escorted out by court officers. Forensics colleges outside, he told reporters, "What's going to happen to us now? Had enough of this. System is rigged." Penny appeared to smile briefly as the verdict was read. His attorneys hugged each other at the counsel table. They later shared a photo on social media of themselves raising a glass at a bar after the verdict. Forensics colleges. Shortly after the acquittal, Penny joined President-elect Donald Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance at the Army-Navy football game as a guest of honor. Reader's Digest. Al Sharpton released a statement calling the verdict the blatant legalization of civilian vigilantism, sending a dangerous message that citizens can now take matters into their own hands, even if it leads to someone's death. Forensics colleges. J.D. Vance posted, "Justice was done in this case. 2 verdicts. 1 country. Completely different reactions, not just in their content, but in their depth of feeling. Because this case was never really about one man on one subway car. It was about everything that had been building underneath, a subway system where ordinary people felt unsafe. A mental health crisis that had been underfunded and ignored for decades. A city, a country, a culture trying to figure out who is responsible for protecting whom, and how much force is ever justified in that protection." Jordan Neely's story was a tragedy before May 1, 2023. A teenager who lost his mother to murder. A young man whose grief curdled into schizophrenia. A performer who had once moonwalked for strangers and made them smile, slowly disappearing into homelessness, institutions, and the revolving door of a system that repeatedly encountered him and repeatedly failed to hold him. He had been placed on New York City's list of the 50 most vulnerable homeless people, a list that exists to identify those most at risk of dying on the streets. He was on that list when he boarded the F train at 2nd Avenue. Daniel Penny's story, too, is complicated. A Marine who served his country. A student trying to build something for himself. A man who saw what he believed was a genuine threat to the lives of strangers around him, and who made a split-second decision to act, and who could not have known, in those 6 minutes on the floor of a subway car, exactly where the line between protection and lethality was located. Who may not have known he had crossed it until it was too late. A wrongful death lawsuit filed by Neely's father against Penny remains pending as of March 2026. It will force both sides to relitigate, in civil court, with a lower burden of proof, the same facts that a criminal jury could not unanimously agree on. The subway where Jordan Neely died is still running. The F train still stops at 2nd Avenue. Thousands of people ride it every day, passing through the same car, standing in the same space, thinking about their own destinations. Some of them think about Jordan Neely. Some of them think about Daniel Penny. Most of them, probably, think about both. And none of them, not one, have a simple answer for what should have happened differently.
What's up? How you feeling?
Great.
Yeah.
He's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good.
What's up? Come together. How's it going? How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved.
Did you think it was going to happen?
Sorry? No, we think that this should have happened probably on day one, but the point thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but we can certainly savor the outcome.
And why do you think it was not guilty?
That's that guy.
Well, he's not guilty on a few different reasons. Because his actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train, and he did. And number two, he's not responsible for the death because the death was caused by a lot of other factors that we tried to present with a lot of clarity, such as the K2 abuse and the sickling crisis, and cardiac issues. Not to mention the paranoid schizophrenia, which only added to that impact. So I'm just glad that the jury was able to truly evaluate that as a potential cause of death, and that Danny was justified in the actions that he took.